Do you wanna share a little bit about your journey, how it started, where you went? I'll let you kind of explain it in your own words there.
Sure. Um, so it's funny. I initially kind of when I got out of bed and I started to disconnect from society, I had over the last like the previous 2 years just kind of collected a whole bunch of camping gear and whatever else. And I was like, oh, I don't want to go into society. I don't want to work right now and pay rent because if I pay
Mhm.
rent, then I've got to work. And so I was like, I'll just head out to the forest for a bit. And I've got my camping gear and, there's a couple friends that would meet me there every now and then. And for about 2 months, I was by myself in the forest, going in and out if I needed some shopping or if I needed, to get a bit of food, but otherwise mostly by myself. And then someone came. I can't remember exactly how it happened, but someone came and said, "Hey, we've got a community of people doing this down south." And so I was like, "Oh, okay." So I went and visited them, and there was a community down in the desert, like by this beach and whatever. And they were pretty much also had disconnected from society, living in tents and makeshift houses. And there was about 15 of them, 20 of them down there. And so for the next 6 months, then I kind of joined them, and that started to open my eyes to, wait a minute, it's not just me that's, gone a bit crazy and wanting to
Mhm.
disconnect from like that. There are other people here who are also trying to break free of their own conditioning. There are other people
Mhm.
here that are also wanting to experience something different from what they had grown up and learned. And so then that kind of triggered the idea of, okay, so what other ways of living are there? What other ways can we kind of um, express this journey of life? And so I flew over to Europe and I hitchhiked around Europe for 3 months, and that's really where I was like living in parks and on the streets, and I was dumpster diving. I was doing a bit of busking, and I was going in between different communities here and there, depending on who picked me up and where they were
Mhm.
going. But that more so opened my eyes to, okay, we tend to find what we're looking for. We
Mhm.
tend to, get a lot of what like we're actually like open to rather than, if we're, I found often that if I was afraid of connection or afraid of being judged, then I would show up in a specific way. People would also like feel on into that energy and that would kind
Mhm.
of come across. Here, I didn't have those same fears. And so all of a sudden, people were a lot more kind and a lot more helpful, a lot more loving, because I was also open to that. I was also
Mhm.
looking for that. And so then that kind of became this understanding of, okay, so this world is really a reflection of what's going on inside. There's so much going on. There's so many different like varieties of people and varieties of life. And then when we kind of search for who we are and we give our own expression, or then we reverberate that back and we kind of get that mirror back. And that was
Mhm.
really cool to kind of then, I guess you could say, start playing with that a bit. It be kind of
Mhm.
came like, okay, how do I want to mirror my outside world by like shifting certain things in my inside world? So I started testing what kind of things do I, if I happen to believe, how would I go about my life? If I happen to believe that everyone was good and all trying to be good and whatever, how might I respond in situations? If I happen to believe that I was able to deal in these kind of intense situations, what might I do, or what kind of situation might I get up myself into if I happen to believe that? So I kind
Mhm.
of started testing those kind of ideas of what what is possible. And the more that I traveled, the more that I met people, the more that I kind of delved into myself and tried different meditations and breath works and that kind of thing, the more I realized that this life really is a reflection of what we give out to it, on an energetic level, on a spiritual level, even just what you can see in your day to day. If you're not spiritual and you're not into the woo woo and whatever else, and that's fine. Then it's really have a look at what kind of is coming out for you inside and see if that's coming out for you outside, and you can see pretty quickly if there is, some similarities. Um,
Absolutely.
and so then it just, it kind of just became, this kind of landslide of